Let's talk a little bit about the 3 things you need to consistently kill big bucks. And I would say you could expand this to the 3 things you need to consistently make your hunting property better. It's going to sound a little bit like a rant, and it's not intended to sound like a rant, but it kind of disgusts me lately whether I'm on YouTube and I'm watching some YouTube stars, or it's TV and I'm trying to get some entertainment for deer hunting purposes. All the sponsorships and the stuff that we're marketed, that we're constantly bombarded and getting told that we have to have and buy to be successful. And I just want to be clear that there's not a single hunter out there that consistently kills big bucks on the Outdoor Channel or a YouTube star that's doing it because, for example, they're using the T-Raptor HD Super Mega Food Plot Blend. I made that up, by the way. Or they're using the latest camouflage with neon highlights. I don't know what that's all about either. The neon highlights, when did that start to be camouflage? But anyways, all this stuff we're getting bombarded that we need to have is really just all a bunch of bullshit. And it kind of bothers me that hardworking hunters are going out in the field every fall and they're spending a ton of money on stuff that will never ever help them, in my opinion, be better hunters or have better hunting. Big buck hunters, these YouTube stars and TV stars that are killing big bucks every single year, are doing it primarily for one reason. It's because they have access to the highest quality, best hunting land in the country. That's the reason. I can say this because many years ago, I was duped by the marketing and the hyped up products and trinkets and gadgets, and I would spend all of my resources and time and money working on all that marketed, hyped up stuff. I would spend my money on it, I would have an awful hunting season, and the following year I'd repeat. And it was just a never-ending cycle of no success. So when I say this stuff, I'm not picking on anybody, because that used to be me. I used to be in this never-ending cycle of bad hunting seasons, and I didn't know why. I bought all the stuff I was told to buy. I did all the stuff I was told to do, and yet I never saw any nice deer. Surely never got any nice deer. Bad experience that taught me that the trinkets and the gadgets don't work. But there's other things that can make your hunting better. I've been hunting a very long time, and I've been lucky to have made some decisions a long time ago that got me out of this cycle or this quagmire of trinket buying. In my 20s, I got into a lease with 4 other hunters, and it was in a really good area in the state of Wisconsin. And overnight, I went from hardly ever seeing any bucks that were over a year and a half, possibly a 2.5. Overnight, I was seeing 2.5 and 3.5-year-old deer almost regularly, just by getting access to this farm in Wisconsin. That experience, going from struggling to getting access to a farm that had nice deer on it, and these weren't huge deer. These weren't 4 and 5 and 6 and 7-year-old giant bucks, but they were way nicer deer than I'd ever had experienced before. But it was that step change, getting that farm to hunt on, and what happened before that, and since that lease, that experience that's taught me the 3 things you need to consistently be able to hunt big bucks and kill big bucks. To kill big deer consistently, you absolutely must be hunting in an area that has big deer. And I'm not talking about one big deer on camera at 1 a.m. every 3 years. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about several big deer on your cameras or that you've seen every single year. You have to be in a good area. Your property has to be in a good area, plain and simple. If you don't have access to a property, or your property is not in an area that already has really nice bucks there, 3 or 4 bucks every single year that you can hunt, it's not the end of the world. The first thing you can try and do is get some quality deer management in your area started, so cooperation with your neighbors. The other thing you can do is create the best habitat you possibly can and the lowest hunting pressure you possibly can on your property, so that you can attract and hold and grow big bucks, so that 2 or 3 or 4 years from now, you have a pool of nice bucks to hunt. The fact of the matter is, if you have a small property and you're in an area with intense hunting pressure, none of your neighbors are willing to practice any kind of quality deer management or let smaller bucks go, the chances of you being able to hunt 4 and 5 and 6-year-old deer on a consistent basis aren't good. That's just the reality of it. And I don't care if you're planting T-Raptor HD Mega Super Sugar Beet Food Plot Blend. And again, I made that up. those things will not help you. However, I will say, even on small properties, even in areas with intense hunting pressure, I have yet to find a farm that can't be made better. And the way they can be made better is through the best habitat, attractiveness, and holding power you can possibly make your farm during the hunting season, and the lowest pressure way that you can possibly hunt your farm. That is going to have the greatest chance that you attract and hold and grow bucks to the next age class. So the first thing you need is not any kind of gadget, marketed, hyped up product, faster bow, sharper broadheads. None of this stuff will make it so that you can consistently kill big bucks. It's your access to a property or making the property you have grow big bucks. That's the first thing you need. The second thing you need is time. Now, I learned this years and years ago. We hunted the big woods of northern Wisconsin, Schwamigan National Forest, Sawyer County, Wisconsin. And that was the first time in my life that we actually started to see some 3 and 4 and 5-year-old deer. But the problem is we had no vacation. We had very little time off, so we were basically weekend hunters. And I would actually say half weekend hunters. By the time we would drive 3 hours to Sawyer County, Wisconsin, and try to hunt, and then drive home, and then try and do it again next weekend, we just could not put a pattern together. We just didn't have enough time to put a good hunt together. So that taught me a very important lesson, that you needed time. That being a weekend hunter or a one-day-a-week hunter made it very difficult to put a good hunt together to take big whitetails. Now this, you got to remember, this was also the time before trail cameras or any of that kind of technology. But even if we had trail cameras back there, it still would have been very, very difficult to stay on top of changing patterns with the deer, changing food sources with the deer, only hunting one day a week. So that's the second thing you need, is you need time. You need at least a week or 2 of consecutive days, and hopefully weekends before that, weekends after that, so that you can put a good hunt together. So you need access to where big bucks are, and you need some time to be able to hunt them. The third thing you need really is a basic understanding of woodsmanship and deer behavior. Now, I'm not saying you need to be an expert at this, but you have to have a basic understanding of how deer smell, what they can see and how they see, what they can hear and how they hear, how good they can smell. And the reason why is because to be able to hunt deer and keep very low pressure on them, you need to understand how they use their senses to figure out that you are hunting them. And this is important because unless you have 1,000 acres of land in Missouri or Iowa or Illinois, or 2,000 acres of land where you can basically make a bunch of mistakes and still keep deer on your property, most hunters have 40 acres to hunt or 30 acres to hunt. Maybe it's 120 acres to hunt. And if you overhunt that and put too much pressure on those deer by having poor woodsmanship skills or trying to rely on gadgets and hyped up marketed products, you are going to overhunt your property, and now your property's not going to attract and hold deer. And those deer that you would have let go, those 2 and 3-year-old deer that maybe you wanted to get to 4 and 5, they're now going to leave your property and get shot by somebody else. You can't buy any product. You just can't do it. That gives you woodsmanship skills, makes you a better hunter, or makes you understand deer behavior better. You just can't buy your way into this. It takes time, experience, and really what I think a lot of it is self-evaluation. And then once you have made that self-evaluation, you repeat or continue doing what works, and then you stop doing what doesn't work. You don't double down on the stuff that doesn't work. And that's the basis for continuous improvement with hunting, is by repeating what works. And you can try new things, but when they fail, you don't do those anymore. And that's how you become a better hunter. And over time, you'll have a whole set of things that work for you, that make you a better hunter, and a whole set of things that don't work for you, that have nothing to do with making you a better hunter. And I would put buying trinkets and gadgets in that box or category of that's not doing anything for you. So the way to consistently kill big bucks is you have to put all 3 together. You have to hunt in an area that already has big bucks, or you make your property attract, hold, and grow big bucks so that you have a pool of bucks to hunt. The second thing is you have to have time to hunt them. And the third thing is you have to have at least a basic understanding of deer behavior and at least a basic skill set of woodsmanship skills so that you can put the least amount of pressure you can on your deer herd. It's these three factors, these three things that you need to consistently kill big bucks that allows the same people year in and year out to kill big deer consistently. I have some friends that are very good deer hunters. They're phenomenal deer hunters, but they don't have access to really good ground, and they don't have the time off to hunt them because of work. That doesn't mean they're bad hunters, but it's just going to be very difficult for those people to consistently kill deer, big deer, on a regular basis because they're missing 2 out of the 3. So if you want to be a big buck hunter, a consistent big buck hunter, you need to look at these 3 things and find out which one of the 3 are you deficient at. Which one is your limiting factor? And then that's what you target. Maybe it's more than one. Maybe you don't have enough time off and you don't have access to property where big bucks are. Well, then you need to improve your habitat. I don't know how you're going to get time off. Maybe you take less time off for other things. But the bottom line is you need time off and you need access if those are your limiting factors. But the point with all this is the next time you watch the YouTube stars and the TV stars shooting these giant bucks on their 1,000-acre farms or their 2,000-acre farms, just understand it's access, time, and at least a limited knowledge of or basic understanding of woodsmanship skills that allows these hunters to kill big bucks every single year. It's not their sponsored stuff. It's not their faster bow. It's not their sharper broadhead or the new camo. That has nothing to do with it. When it comes to hunting and life, there are 2 rules I have when I'm trying to learn something new. The first is never, ever, and I mean never, take advice from somebody who's trying to sell you something like T-Raptor HD Mega Food Plot Seed Blend. Their opinions are biased because they have to be, because they're getting paid to tell you to use that product. And the second thing that I've learned, again, hunting and in life, is never, ever, and I mean never, ever, take advice from somebody on any subject unless they have succeeded in that area. The exception of that is if you want to know how to not do it. Be kind, smile, nod your head, and take their advice, but then ignore everything they've just told you. Because if they have not succeeded in that area, if they have not succeeded in consistently killing big mature bucks, then you probably don't want to take advice from them. So again, sorry if that sounded like a rant, but I wanted to kind of clarify that there's 3 things you need to consistently kill big bucks, and we've gone over them. I beat them to death. But it's important to understand, even if it's not consistently killing big bucks, even if it's making your hunting property better or having a better hunt, none of these things get better. None of your hunting gets better through gadgets, product, hyped up food plot seed, etc., etc., etc. And I hope you could take that advice from somebody that used to be the gadget and the trinket guy.